What's up, PB Cashewville? It's your boy Cashew, and right beside me is your boy.
PB.
And in this episode, we are talking about the Prince of Egypt. Hit it.
What up, PB Cashuville? It is your boy PB, and right next beside me is my partner in crime.
Cashew.
What up, Cashew? Feels like it's been a minute
It has been.
because this is like only our second consecutive episode where we are doing. Oh, actually, not even consecutive because last week we had to do the Jets video, right?
Yeah. Let's explain that real quick.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to say Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
It is
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, and we are actually doing this on Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving Day.
which is kind of crazy. But I don't work, and but brother PB
Brother
doesn't
PB.
work. Yeah,
Bro
brother
PB.
bro PB doesn't work either. So we have a free time. And so happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
We hope that you're all if you're watching this on Thanksgiving Day, which is kind of cool if you are, but if not, we hope that you are now recovering from all of the turkey and ham that you have eaten, and you haven't been trampled by anybody during your Black Friday shopping.
Oh yeah. That's another fun thing. After that's Black Friday. But you know what else is crazy?
What is crazy, sir?
We can finally listen to Christmas music.
We can find actually.
Actually, you know what's
I
crazy?
hate to admit this, Matt. I did. I broke my rule.
Okay.
I,
So before you finish that, that
I
I
never finished
I
my
know,
stuff.
but I was gonna say that the rule that we have, we had to let them know. The rules that we have is we can't listen to Christmas music until Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving.
No, actually, it's right now. You can right now. It's past 12 o'clock, and I think the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade just ended. Santa Claus passed by, so yes, Christmas music. Everybody, join to the
But Chick-fil-A has been playing Christmas music. And so it's just like, bro. So I'm not counting it as breaking the rules
yeah.
because I don't have no choice but to listen to it. That's not my fault. That's Chick-fil-A's idea.
I had to break the rule personally because this is what happened. Like this is weird. Target was running their sales for the holiday, and then Marshmallow World. I love Marshmallow World. It's one of my favorite Christmas carols. And then it was playing. I was like, "What are you doing, Target? You can't play Marshmallow World yet. It's not past Thanksgiving. You gotta wait a little bit." But then I was like, great. I really like that song. It's stuck in my head, and so I'm like, it's a marshmallow world at the season. And so now I'm getting my playlist together. So I'm taking Mariah Carey out of her box and making her sing
All you want for Christmas
All I
is
wanted
you.
for Christmas is you, and all the other and Bing Crosby. I'm taking him out of his box that I keep in my Spotify attic, and then listening to him as well.
Oh, and another thing too is like, so our churches are also doing like a Christmas play.
Oh
So
yes,
that doesn't count because we have no
yeah,
choice but
cause
to
but
sing.
to sing,
That's
right?
not that so that doesn't count for us. So I'm saying it right now. I have not actually bringing the rule, and people might say, "No, you did though."
Yeah,
I had
I
no
think it's
choice.
yeah. If there's no choice, then I don't think it counts. I don't think that you are subject to the rule if you didn't actually do it. So that I think we're both exempt from that because I've had to sing O Come Emmanuel." Actually, I haven't sang it yet. Oh, when is your guys' Christmas play
17th. We're not doing a play though. We're doing a program.
program? Oh man, where's this on the 17th too? A house divided, but you know what? We're both united in Christ. We're not really divided. Take
A-
that, devil.
Amen, brother. Amen.
But the good thing is, if you get a chance to, if you don't get to see, if you're going to the New Heights uh, Christmas service in the morning, the awesome thing is we're actually at Northeast. We're doing both. Both the morning service and the evening service is going to be the Christmas play. So if you want to get the double dose, uh, go to New Heights in the morning and come to Northeast in the evening. Get a double dose of that Christmas special love. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing, I have a different beanie hat.
I know. I love it. I
I
love
have
it.
a different beanie
I
hat.
love the fact that it's Gen 1 Pokemon because I
Can
was all
you
about the
can you
Gen
name
1
all of
Pokemon.
them?
Okay, from what I can see is you have Cubone, you have Bulbasaur, you have a Eevee, a Charmander, and a Squirtle, and of course my main man Pikachu.
Hey, you passed the test.
Pikachu.
You
But that's
passed the test.
it looks like I thought that there was more than that, but
No, it's just them
it's
again.
just those ones.
Yeah, I saw this in I think it's called Newberry Comics in the mall,
All New Bear
and
Comics
I'm
is my
just like, yo,
jam.
I gotta cop this. I just gotta get it. I got it
Newberry
last
Comics
Sunday.
is
I gotta
my
get it.
jam. Uh, there are a few things that we need to correct. Uh, actually, I forgot the name of it again. The place where I got this jersey is not the place that I said in my original podcast about getting this jersey. But those folks in the mall, I love this jersey, and you guys are awesome because of it. Do you have any other shout outs to people that you would like to shout out?
Mm, I guess I'll shout out the two members that we have because we have a basic little squad,
We
a
have a
little
little
team.
squad.
I'll
Yeah,
give
we
a shout out to Maddie who does the TikTok edit videos,
Mother
who's doing a great job,
do an excellent
and I
job.
gotta give a shout out to my best friend Yerson/Jason because he's also doing the logos.
I absolutely love them.
We
They
have
are adorable.
he got us.
Adorable.
So the logo that we're using now is the one that I made, but he made us some new logos. So pretty soon we'll show you it and we'll have it up there. They actually are pretty cool. They really are.
Yes.
And also, before we get into it, so we actually did an episode of the Prince of Egypt.
Yes. And it
Well,
was epic.
it was really
It was
good.
really good.
So now we had to redo it though because for some reason it didn't record the whole thing,
Correct.
and
The-
hopefully it doesn't do
It
that
doesn't do that
again.
again. So I am
So,
monitoring the record button on our laptop to
but what
make sure it's recording.
but what was weird was that it was recording the whole
It
time.
was recording the whole
It literally
time.
was.
It
Like when
was.
we were looking at it, it was
And
like it was recording, and I
and
was just like, "That's kind of weird that it stopped."
the thing that frustrated me was when it got to the part where it cuts is where it really started getting good. So that's the reason why we're doing the Prince of Egypt again.
Yeah, and then also, we don't have the tapestry yet. I don't know how long that's gonna take. For some reason, my phone is acting up and not showing me how long it is if it haven't shipped yet. So hopefully by the next time we do a podcast episode, we'll have it up there. So as of right now, it's just a blank wall.
Wait, Cash. What's that thing called again?
Tapestry.
There we go.
I said tapestry.
You said
Tapestry.
tapestry.
Tapestry. My bad. Look, I can't.
It
Like
is.
you know what I realized having two jobs, being tired all the time, not getting that much sleep. My mind goes off everywhere, and I say a lot of things. I can't even sometimes form a sentence.
But it's a sentence. I know. I have those moments too, especially this time of the year. So yeah. But yeah. What else? What else is cool this week? Oh, you know what? What's great? Knicks are doing pretty decently, right?
The Knicks are doing good. They
Yeah.
play the Heat tomorrow. Hopefully, we get that dub.
And nobody cares, but the Rangers are doing really well. But nobody cares. I
No, I
hate.
know. I heard that they're doing good.
Oh, thank you. Thank
I
you for
have heard that.
acknowledging that. A certain someone who I'm not going to mention is what we have dubbed on our bus route as the hockey hater. Hockey hater, you know who you are. You know who you are.
See my brother.
Now the effect is not as good, but yes, it is your brother.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was my brother. But so yeah, so there's a couple updates. Maybe one episode will do like favorite Christmas
Oh,
music, maybe, or favorite Christmas movies.
one
Maybe.
thing that we forgot to mention, and don't think this the wrong thing, everybody, but each one of us have our own individual channels now.
Oh yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah.
I made a channel for my beats.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Oh, you actually made a channel?
I haven't done it yet. I'm just trying to. Probably gonna start it today.
Let's go.
To start today, I was practicing a song. I was like, you know what, this would be a good way to kick off Fred Bambico music. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Let's go call Fred Bambico music.
Fred Bambico
Hey,
music.
let's
Yeah,
go.
Fred
High
Bambico
five on
music.
that. That was horrible. Oh, that was bad.
Oh my word!
We can't high five. Okay, there we go. That was a bad high
Okay,
five.
that's for the blooper reel.
So basically,
That's a
like
TikTok right there.
I made an account for my beats because I make beats. I made an account for my beats, and it's called Beats by Matt DJ, right? Or is it Matt DJ Beats?
Matt DJ Beats.
I think it's I think it's Matt DJ Beats or Beats by Matt DJ, one of those two. So I post now, and now I have a TikTok, an Instagram, and a YouTube, and I do that for shorts. So that's cool.
Very
But
cool.
it's cool that you have your own. I know. So here's the funny thing. I feel like we were going to talk about the Prince of Egypt, but now we're talking about other things.
No, but
here.
this is the intro.
But
This is the intro.
so this was an interesting thing. PB asked me what day was it. He asked me like, am I okay with him doing his own little thing? I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna be jealous about that. I'm not gonna be upset about that. Why would I be upset about that? And then I told him like I was thinking about making my account on YouTube for my beats, and I made it on Tuesday. I think it was.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was last Tuesday, and
And you put some content up
I
though
put only
already,
two
right?
two. I already put
Yeah.
2 videos up.
No,
Yeah.
because like just letting y'all know, like there's when I did the last video, what was so cool was that I had a really large catalog of stock music that Matt had used, and if you listen really carefully, and plus the reason why it was also important was we can't play some of the copyrighted music. I didn't let so I had to use yours to be able to do that. So it's good. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah. I I,
give it a
I
listen, give it a
honestly,
like and
honestly,
subscribe, man. It's
I,
good.
I listened to that. I did listen to that episode. I actually did like it. I'm like, okay, it's a little different.
Yeah,
You
it's
had different beats of mine, and just like it's
yeah,
pretty cool.
I really liked it, especially as like the background music when I'm doing the because I had to cut out the music because
Yeah,
AC/DC's playing, and we can have
I think We
AC/DC.
Were Rocky was in there, right?
No, it was
You sure?
it's either Thunderstruck.
Thunderstruck.
It's
I thought We Were Rocky was in there too.
no, I don't think I could put that one up though. But the thing is, we couldn't have it,
Because
and
copyright
it's
situation.
copyrighted. I heard we could cover it though. So this is what I was thinking, like for the Prince of Egypt, like but it's just too much. We could have actually like sung the songs, but
I'm not gonna sing.
but you don't want to sing.
So
You know what?
another,
You know what I could do? I could post it on the new channel,
yeah,
like a link to it,
you can
right?
do it. So another thing too is just like I'll give you a quick. I know one episode we're gonna do, and I have to remember this one episode we're gonna have for before the New Year's ends is we're gonna have where we went like let's say simple. I went to a Knicks game
Yeah, and
February. Never went that. Never put posted that.
and I went to a Rangers
He went
game
to a Rangers game.
and saw Bernie Williams.
I went to Florida. So we're gonna have like things that we did in 2023.
So it'd be like PB and Cashew
Cashews
around the
around the
world.
world, I guess
Oh,
you could
around the
say.
world,
Around the
yeah,
world,
around the world, right?
on the
On
streets
the
still.
streets,
So you get to see some
on
things.
your streets. That's the thing.
So we'll
Oh,
do that. And then what I'm gonna do is I haven't done it yet.
uh-huh.
I'm gonna make more try to make more couple beats of it, so it could be different types of beats. That's one idea we have. I'm just letting you know in advance. And then the other ones, I'm not 100% sure. We're still debating and talking about it. Um, but we're trying to make as much content as we can, because you
Oh,
know,
I also have an interesting reveal for the week of May 7th and May 17th,
all the way in May.
all the way in May.
Ooh,
Guess where I will be?
um, Bahamas,
No,
Thailand,
getting closer.
Philippines.
Go up more north.
Oh yeah, you're going to is it Japan?
Going to
Oh,
Japan.
that's gonna be cool.
So that I
Be in
will
Tokyo.
I will take
Are
as
you going to Tokyo?
much. Um, not a lot because I've seen Tokyo already. So
Oh, okay.
the trip that we're taking is going to be more like old school Japan. And what's
Oh,
so cool is that
take a picture of a samurai sword for me.
I was hoping to bring one. I
Oh,
can't pass. I can't bring it through customs though. But
you have to like probably get it
you have
shipped
to
to
get
you, right?
yeah. You have to kind of have it shipped directly to you because I think you can't. It's considered a weapon.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
but you can also honestly, seriously, you can get like the cheapy ones and they're actually Brian North has mine that I found
I remember you had one.
that
Yeah,
that I confiscated when I did a room inspection because you couldn't have it, and so I kept it. And Brian North had it, and I don't know where I gave it to Brian North. But I don't know where it is now. So
I think I remember you showed me that sword.
yeah, but I will see, and I will try to take. I will actually.
You
I will
better
be.
bring some souvenirs.
Oh, I will. I will. I
That's gonna be
will. I
that's
will.
pretty cool. I always wanted to go to Japan. Like
Japan is
if I could go to places like if I could travel the world, I would actually travel the world. If I had like the money
oh
for it, I would do
goodness.
that.
I like if I
And my
was
pack and like what I would do too is like if let's say I did any other podcast, like if I ever did another one, it would probably be traveling with Matt,
yeah
traveling
try,
around the world with Matt.
yeah
Just
that
like if I ever go to like Japan or China or Tokyo,
yeah
I said Tokyo.
because
Japan, China, that type of stuff. I would
yeah
literally do a podcast like that.
one of our subscribers, I'm not going to tell who to protect the privacy, but I saw him recently, and he does a lot of this traveling, and he's also like an extreme sports enthusiast, and he's got like like really good GoPros. I said,
Oh,
bro, if it's not that hard. If not knocking us or anything like that, but if the two of us can make a podcast, you can make a podcast, and it's probably going to be really cool. I mean, he does skydiving, he does snowboarding, and I said, if you put that content on there, that's going to be pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
and he's actually one of our subscribers, so shout out to you, sir. And you probably know who you are. If you don't know who you are, next time I see you, I'll tell you that's I was talking about.
I know my Jason does that. He sometimes when he goes around, like when he goes to Dominican Republic,
Yeah.
he has a GoPro and he just records where he's at, and then he
Hmm.
makes it a YouTube video, and it's pretty cool. He puts the like
Yeah.
music that they gave him, but it's pretty cool. Like he'll and that's something I would do. Something like
Yeah.
if I'm eating somewhere, I would record it. Like look at this
Right. I
place,
know.
stuff like that. Cause like
That's the thing. I used to do that all the time, especially when I had my original Facebook. But I just stopped doing it because they look kind of weird because you're taking pictures of everything. But you've seen some of the stuff we've done here. I mean, whenever we go to a ramen place, we actually have footage of some of our trips there.
we have not been to a ramen place though. You and
You
I
and
for
I
a
have
while.
not been to. We need to.
We need to go to the one that you always tell
We
me about
need.
in Richfield, right? Is it?
We need to fix that. You need to a day that you are getting out at like 4 o'clock or 5, you need to meet me at Metro Ramen, and they are expensive
Why don't we go
but
to
really good.
Why don't we do this? Because I know um sometime in December, I think after Christmas, I'm like my other job is
Mm,
closed and I work Chick-fil-A.
mhm.
Um After that, we could probably go to a ramen place.
Yeah, just
We could probably put that up in our New
yeah,
Year's one too,
because
cuz
that I think that's always interesting that sometimes it's just getting the right camera to do it, and you do need a third person. So,
we could
um,
always I'll invite my brother.
there
There
we
we
go.
go.
Yeah,
And you know what's
just make
crazy?
sure that you shoot it
Yeah, this is what's
horizontal this time,
this
there,
episode
Jose.
is supposed to be Prince of Egypt, but it's just rambling with Fred and
I know, but
PB and Cashew.
it's
You know what
it's
else
the
is cool?
preamble. It's the
You know
preamble.
what else is cool though? It's like another thing too that we gotta do is, and I hope we can do it, is we have to go to the Knicks game. We
Yeah,
had to
I
go to the
was
Knicks game.
I
The
was
last
talking.
time we when you and I went to the Knicks game, it was against the Clippers, and Chris Paul and Blake Griffin didn't even
Yeah,
play.
they took a one of those stupid
Low management. I
load
don't. I
management days.
I
It's
think
so
I think Blake Griffin
stupid.
was actually injured at the time. I think he actually
Yeah,
was
but
injured.
DeAndre Jordan was still amazing
That was when he was in his prime, and he's
in his
actually pretty
prime. Yeah,
good.
exactly. Uh, I was talking to Schweepsies. I'm not going to mention his real name, Schweepsies, and then I think that's something that I told him, hey, you know what? Let's save up for it. Maybe try to shoot for something in either January or February, because I'd love to go to the next game with you guys. That's for real. Any sporting event. I've tried to convince people to go to a hockey game, but nobody wants to go to a hockey
We
game
could go. Well, you never asked me. You actually never invited me to a hockey game. I
because
would. I would. I've been.
it's
I've
expensive.
been to not a like an NHL hockey game, but I've been to a hockey game
Oh yeah,
before. It was pretty cool.
Danbury Hat-Tricks
Ye-
hockey.
Is it the tip? Was it the?
It's
Yeah. It
ten
was.
bucks, man. We should actually go once.
It
Like
was pretty cool
there's
though.
there's actually a game tomorrow against Binghamton, and it's gonna be kind of crazy. Some folks from our church were saying, "Are you gonna go on?" I think it's like I don't know. I'll see. But yeah, it's but that's we should really go. Try to plan on going to a place and definitely take the footage for it because it's sometimes more interesting going to these places, and that's why I'm looking forward to this Japan trip because I know it's gonna be really really good.
Yep.
Okay,
Well,
we have we did that. That's a longer preamble than we had hoped. We haven't done this in a while, so I guess this was a good way to kind of catch up. So this is what we're gonna do.
So we're gonna take a quick break
Quick break.
because it's been a minute and we need. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back.
Bye. Boy, Cashew, I really wish that we had a really good solid chocolatey drink that will quench my thirst because I get really parched whenever we do our podcasts.
Well, PB, you're in luck. You wanna know why?
Why?
I got some Nesquik for you.
Nesquik? Nesquik gives that really awesome chocolatey flavor that will satisfy my happiness.
Yes, it will. If you want Nesquik, go get some at the store.
Yeah!
And we're back.
We're back.
And we are going to be talking about the Prince of Egypt.
Yes, like we had intended to. But sometimes it's fine to kind of just get everybody up to speed and let them know what we're doing. Just to kind of get everybody interested in what we're doing and whatnot. So, So, Prince of Egypt. It is a movie that was done in 1998 by DreamWorks Pictures. So this was way before like Shrek and also Kung Fu Panda, which is good. And so it talks about the life of Moses, but also explores the dynamic between Ramses and Moses since they were brothers. And it's an interesting perspective on this particular tale that this very familiar tale that everybody knows about, but probably something that not a lot of people knew about. So, what are your thoughts about Prince of Egypt?
So last time we were talking about it, I did criticize it a lot because if I can say one thing, I just wish it was more biblically accurate.
Hmm.
But it's fine. It's actually a really good movie because it does, like I said, it talks about the life of
Yeah,
Moses. And it's in the book of Exodus, obviously, and it shows you a different perspective of how Ramses, right? As I say, Ramses
Ramses. Yeah.
and Moses, like how their connection as
Hmm.
brothers,
Hmm.
a perspective that the Bible never showed us. So
Hmm.
we don't 100% sure if that's how it really was, if they
Right.
really were
Right.
like that. But at the end of the day, it did had some I can't even think right now. It had good perspectives about that.
Yeah.
And then it also was good. The music was really actually the music was phenomenal. It went well with the movie and well with what everything was happening. Like
Hmm.
Miracle was one of them. Deliver Us, God, I think it's another movie.
Hmm.
Is it Deliver Us, right?
Yes, Delivers is the
Deliver Us,
opening
the opening,
track. Yeah.
and then you also had I think it's called the Plague.
Hmm.
I think it
It's
was
called
called.
the plagues, but I like to call it "Thus saith the Lord" because it's I don't
Hmm.
know. That's just my whenever
I,
I see hear it, it's
I
like
like to call it "Let My People Go" because
yeah.
it had
I'd
Moses
either go to the
singing
"Let
that,
My People Go" or
or
"Thus
and
say the
Ramsey.
Lord." Yeah.
It had both of them doing this perspective. So like the music was really well. Sorry, my voice is just cracking right now. I'm sorry about that. But the music was very good.
Yeah, the music playing a part actually. What's great about the music, it's I think you mentioned this before. It's not just there for the sake of it. It really helps drive the story along, and also it's used as like certain
Yeah, I'm sorry about. I don't know what's going on. Let's just keep on going.
certain parallels. It's okay. It's okay. But the one thing that's great with Prince of Egypt is there's a lot of things where there's contrasts and there's also parallels. So there's a lot of times where things are contrasting each other. So for example, in the beginning, you have the first part, "Deliver Us." It's a very earthy, very driving kind of sound. The drums have a huge part to play to kind of illustrate that the the oppression of slavery. But then when Yakoved starts singing, there the flute comes in, and then there's this counterpoint of the drums and the flute, and then all of a sudden, once they get Moses into the water, the drums are gone completely. So it's there's so many amazing little things that they do. In fact, like when you listen to All I Ever Wanted is the one where Moses starting is trying to wonder what he's all about. He's someone's planted in his head that you're not an Egyptian, you're actually a Hebrew, and he's starting to have this uh, conflict within himself. And then when he has conflict within himself, uh, the same melodies is what's used in the plagues. So
Yeah.
there's always these great degrees of internal conflict. Uh,
Another thing too. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry
uh,
about that.
in terms of also parallels is what's great. Not only do you have contrast, but you also have parallels. Like during the one thing that is very predominant is tears. I didn't notice this, but tears are always a very it illustrates a very poignant moment. Like when Yaakov sees Moses go, she sheds a tear, and then when Moses is learning about the fact that his father, well, quote unquote father, uh, killed all of these kids, and when he's in that flat hieroglyphic relief, which I'll also talk about, which is I think very underrated. There's a carving of a tear coming out of his eye when he talks to God, and then he realizes that God's given him this major major task. Guess what shows up?
It's
A
here.
tear, right? It's so there, and there's a lot of great parallels in the story. So it's contrasts and parallels, and I have 4 pages of notes on contrasts and parallels because it was just something when watching it again. You see all these different little things, either musically, visually, and the the echoes and the contrast is something that I really loved about this movie.
one thing too about the music, because like I make beats now, so I'm like learning a lot. I realized like when like the way that they use the instrument
Hmm.
is really powerful because at first like they'll go slow with it, and then the slow goes slow. But once it like gets like what's it called? Like the drums comes in,
Hmm.
that's when the music goes like louder and it gets better.
Yeah.
It's just like one thing I've just been noticing is like just like I said, the music is a big thing in that movie, and like it really hit hard.
Hmm.
It hit hard with everything. It helped out with the message of the movie and stuff
Right.
like that. And then there's another thing too. Is like I said, I did critique the movie, so I'm going to critique it a little bit more. Is they made it seem like Moses was a bad boy, I guess you could say, like always
Like
a
like a
troublemaker, a
prankster.
prankster
Yeah.
slash troublemaker, but
Yeah.
we don't really know about that.
But I could, if I can touch on that, I think that's really effective in terms of the storytelling because he's such a prankster, because he's such a person that likes to get into trouble. It really helps him really show up as this person that's completely the opposite of that. I think that because again, when we look at the story of Moses and Ramses, Ramses looks at him as this little brother that got him into trouble, but
But he gets him out of it.
he always gets him out of it. But also now that lovable younger brother is no longer not it's not the same guy anymore because he's realized that lovable younger brother of his that lovable younger brother is for Moses. That was all a lie. So there has to be this particular contrast. That's one thing I love about this movie is contrast. When you have this guy when he's young, he's impulsive, but he has that degree of humility which is great that carries throughout the entire movie, which is awesome. But the thing that he's like a prankster and such, there has to be that's there for the purpose of storytelling. And of course, there's a lot of things that we really won't know. And I also made notes of biblical inaccuracies. Here's a few. One, uh, Moses did not meet Miriam until he was exiled to Egypt. That's one.
Yeah.
Number two, Aaron was actually the person who uh, did the miracles in front of Pharaoh. Number three, Yaakov actually met Moses and nursed him. That's biblical.
I actually want to talk about what these actually. I think about it too.
Go for it.
Okay, so the first one, let's talk about Yakovich. She was only there once, and that was like during the song.
During the song, yeah.
And what was pause. What was crazy was Moses going to the river. They exaggerated that so much. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
say this.
someone said like
A
if
baby,
that baby is on the Nile and it comes across like crocodiles
crocodiles,
and
hippos,
hippos and ships,
a
that
storm. That baby is dead. I don't care what you tell me.
yeah,
That baby is dead.
that
Unless God like has a miracle and kept his hands on it.
that is like some heavy duty reeds, man.
Like
Reed and pitch.
literally,
That's like iron covered pitch,
literally,
bro.
the baby went through alligators,
Gators,
hippos, two ships,
three ships,
drift ships,
because
a wave,
a
like a
wave.
storm, and was a fine. Like the basket was messed. No, the basket didn't
Those
even
dude
look
doesn't
messed
mess
up.
up. That's like
The
just
basket looked
regular
fine. It was a
basket.
regular
That's like
basket,
fine
and
little basket.
Pharaoh's daughter sees like, oh, there's a baby in
Oh,
here.
that's another thing. Moses was not discovered by the queen,
It was Pharaoh's daughter.
Pharaoh's daughter,
But
right?
they made it was the queen.
It was
And it was like I said, the way they did the baby going to the Nile River was just too funny because it's like, bro, this baby. Like when I was watching, I'm just like, yo, this baby's dead.
this baby's dead.
Like,
Yeah,
is the baby breathing? Like,
yeah.
I know
It's
the
like
baby. I know he was alive because
yeah, because that is.
in the Bible.
I mean, you're
mentions it.
sure.
But I'm just like, is the baby dead? Like,
How is
what?
yeah? Like, does he? I didn't see no insulation in that basket. Like, where was like the cushioning, yo? It's like
No, like, that's just like, bro, alligator, hippo. I'm like, yo, what
shit.
is up with this? Like,
It actually gets bonked by a ship. I was
I'm
like,
just like, bro,
but
that baby's dead.
but that's the dramatic license for you.
And then Miriam, what was it? What was what's his wife's name again? Moses,
Um, Zipporah.
Sephora. He meets Sephora. This is not accurate either. He meets Sephora in Egypt
Yeah,
apparently,
and
and he was a jerk to her
and
because
rescues her out of
rescue
Egypt.
her.
Yeah.
And this is where he meets Miriam, which I don't think is accurate because in the Bible it doesn't mention them having that situation
Mhm.
happen. but she feeds her water for the camel, and Moses was following her, and then like Mary was like, "Oh, I'm your sister. You're my brother." He didn't believe her,
Mhm.
and I don't know. To me, it's just like crazy to me because like I don't believe um that happened.
Mhm.
That one I think was another one that was kind of crazy. And then Aaron, Aaron was another one that got me tight because what happened was Aaron was a apparently he was rude
Oh
and
yeah, he's like a
he was a really jerk.
he's a real jerk in terms of that.
But in the Bible, I don't really know. We don't really know if he was a jerk. You know, we don't know if he was actually like rude to Moses or what. And that kind of got me annoyed too because the way they made it seem like it's like Aaron never really. At first, when Miriam and Aaron didn't meet Moses, he was like, "Don't say anything," and he was actually nice. But then, like, he's like, "Oh, now you see how we
Yeah,
feel,
he
and
was
what
like,
makes you feel sorry for us?" And
yeah,
she's
when
like,
he
"Bro,
comes back. I think that the one slight accuracy in terms of that is the fact that he was more listening to the people, kind of.
oh yeah, because
So,
in the
because
Bible he does listen more to the
yeah,
people."
he's the one who makes the golden calf.
But at the
But
end of the day, like, yeah, another thing too is what you said was like it's mostly Aaron that does the miracles. It's mostly Aaron that talks to the
mhm,
Pharaoh because that's another thing too. Like in the movie when Moses finally sees the burning bush in the Bible, Moses makes an excuse like, "Oh, I can't really talk. I can't do that." And that's another thing too is Moses used to stutter a lot and did not know how to talk.
right.
But in the movie, they made it seem like he knew what he was doing and he knew how to talk.
Mhm.
And guy said, "Okay, I'm gonna have Aaron, your brother,
Be the person
be
who
the
talks to
person."
you.
Never in the movie Aaron ever talked to like Ramesses or anything
Yeah,
like that. It was mostly Moses, which I can understand why they probably did that. Is
right.
to give you that, give you that perspective of brothers. You know how they used to be really close and now that they're
They're
not being
yeah.
close and like they realizing, oh, we can't root for each other no more. We
Mhm.
have to be rivals, which I guess it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like that one is just like that's another thing. Like when you look at it, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not biblically accurate. And I know you're gonna, and like, I know people if they watch this movie, they want to be like, oh, I want to see what's biblically accurate about
Right.
it. But at the end of the day, you should also have it look at it in a different perspective as well.
Yeah, because with this one, it right off the bat, um, the producers already say that you take the dramatic licenses, but the key elements of the Exodus story are there. One, you have a people that are oppressed. Two, you have a ruler that is oppressing these people. You have someone who is going to save them in Moses, who then, because of this epiphany that he now needs to be the savior of these people, stands up for them and then gets exiled. He exiles himself, and then he returns back, and then there's a conflict with this power again, and then God intervenes to change the heart of this person in the heaviest of ways, which is biblically accurate. And then you have the pride of Pharaoh. This is something that I think was very accurate in terms of what was depicted is Pharaoh's pride, and I'll get into that a little bit more.
Yeah,
But a lot of the biblical elements, a lot of the biblical elements that make the story so timeless is present. So a lot of people make, and you can be nitpicky about about the biblical inaccuracies, because at first I was kind of like that too, but the overall story and the major themes about it, I think, hold true. Can we talk about God?
you know what? What's his name? What's his name? The guy who plays God. He plays Moses. I forgot his name, man. Val Kilmer.
Val Val
Kilmer.
Kilmer. Yeah,
Val Kilmer.
let's talk about God.
Uh,
I have a
he
lot to say
he did
about
a
God.
good. First off, we never even mentioned this before we talk about God. The acting there was crazy. Like I did not
Oh
even
my
know.
goodness,
I
the
did not know Sandra. I
actors.
did not know Sandra Bullock was in it. I did not even know Jeff Goldblum was in it. I did not know like half of these actors that were very and
Yeah.
actors that are very popular
So
was in it.
you have Patrick Stewart as Seti. You
Didn't
have
know that.
Helen Mirren. This is interesting. Helen Mirren plays a queen, right?
Okay,
And then she wins an Oscar for a movie called The
the
Queen.
Queen.
It's really cool. You have Michelle Pfeiffer. You have Jeff Goldblum. You have Steve Martin. You have Martin Short. You have Danny Glover. And then you also have James Avery apparently did some work with it.
Oh,
You have
okay.
Val Kilmer as the voice of Moses. And uh but the one thing that we don't mention are the singers. Unfortunately, in terms of my notes, the one person that I only wrote was Orpha Haza. Orpha Haza is the voice of Yakovit, both the singing voice and the. And here's something cool about Orpha Haza. Orpha Haza, she dubbed the voice of Yakovit in 17 out of the 20 languages that Prince of Egypt was
Wow,
translated in.
that's crazy.
But here's the sad thing, though. 2 years after Prince of Egypt was released, she died of, I think, AIDS-related
And
diseases.
you know what's crazy too is like I think Michelle Pfeiffer is in actually one of the songs. Like she's actually singing one of the songs.
Yeah, I think
Who
only
is
And Miriam and Pharaoh and Moses have different singing voices. Oh, and Danny Glover also does not sing, but
which is
somebody.
kind of weird.
But the guy who they picked this. That's another great song I want to talk about also. But let's talk about God. What did you like about how God was portrayed in this movie?
I think it was portrayed pretty good. I think we don't know how God's voice really will be, you know, but I think Val Kilmer did a good job with like saying like when Moses asked, "Who are you?" and he goes, "I am that I am," like saying all that stuff.
Yes.
And I think it wasn't like I think when he did the voice, you could tell it's a powerful voice,
Hmm.
and that makes sense. And I think that's what it will be like if God talked to you. It'll be a powerful voice. Like if you hear God speak to you, it'll be like a deep, powerful voice.
I'm glad that you mentioned the powerful voice, Matt, because here's the thing with the voice of God in Prince of Egypt. Let's compare it also to like the voice of God in something like the Ten Commandments, which you haven't seen, and I'm not going to rack you on that, but we should
I will
do.
watch it. No worries. I'm gonna.
It's
There's a couple movies I'm gonna watch. No
Yeah,
worries.
but um, the voice of God in the Ten Commandments is that booming voice. I am the Lord God. Now, just as you mentioned with Prince of Egypt, the voice of God has that power, that strength. But what I loved about in Prince of Egypt, it's the full range of God's voice.
It
Okay,
wasn't like too
yeah,
exaggeration. It
and
was more like I am God.
yeah,
I am. Like when he
but
asked
there's
that
also the
Moses and
Moses,
the whisper.
and then you will do my great wonders. So what I was thinking, what it actually reminded me of, okay, was some Bible verses. So in 1 Kings 19:12, it says that after the earthquake was a fire. This is Elijah describing it. And after the earthquake was a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire, but after the fire, a still small voice. That's what I really liked about it, the gentleness of God's voice. Because at that point where he has that powerful part where he talks about who made man's mouth, and it's very strong in terms of it. But then he realizes that Moses is cowering, and then he's like, "But I'll be with you."
You know what's
So
crazy though? You know when he goes Moses, like does
yeah.
that? I would be so terrified though.
Oh, in terms of
I
that,
would be so like the reason why is because like I don't watch horror movies or anything like that. But have you ever like have you ever watched like there's a show called Supernatural, right?
okay.
And they do like they do like fake supernatural things like werewolf and ghosts like that. And so like when you hear like a little voice like that,
Mhm.
it just that's what it makes me think of.
The
Even though that's kind of crazy to say.
I don't think honestly, because you're saved and because you're a Christian, and I also think because it's God's voice.
Yeah.
God is very precise. If he wanted to scare the heck out of you with his still small voice, it'll be in a way that it's just going to scare you. But if he's there to kind of comfort you, I believe that God would just
But
be
I'm saying
very
like the way it was when he goes, Moses, I would have been a little scared, terrified, in my opinion. That's just me. I was like, what's
Oh,
that? What is that?
I think that that
I
that the
really do feel like that though. I feel like you know how in the Bible they talk about most of these Bible characters heard God's voice.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be shocked if they did got scared first
Oh, of
because they're
course,
like
yeah.
going, what
No,
is that? Who's
it
talking to
it
me?
because it's the power of the Almighty. Like if you in some respects, even some people thought that. I think the reason why they were probably afraid is because if you hear the voice of God, sometimes the power of it, you could get you could get destroyed because of it. But I think the fact that God's like talking to this person and is not destroyed, that's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
that makes it even more powerful. But that's what I liked about Val. 'Cause I think Val Kilmer doesn't get as much.
he did really good.
Yeah, doesn't get as much props as I think as he should for his work here. He since he did the voice of God though in this one, it's not just of him. It's also actually of all of the characters kind of combined together, but his voice is the most prominent. But I like how he was able to depict the fact, and I don't believe that that's how God is. God has that strong power, but also that gentleness to comfort. The might of the Lord, but also His grace and mercy.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about how that was depicted.
So yeah, I did like that. And then what else would you like to talk about?
Oh, one thing that I this is probably going to be a quick thing, but one thing that I don't think everybody mentions a lot is really the dream that Moses has. The one that
Yeah,
is depicted with just the flat hieroglyphics. I
yeah,
always think that that's so cool how they did that. That it reminded me a lot of the game Paper Mario.
yeah.
It's that flat, but it was so impactful. It was like the moments where they're killing the children, but all of the hieroglyphics have just this very flat expression, and like there's it shows that they had no remorse when they were doing it. It was very powerful too in regards to that. But how it was depicted, how it recaps the story for us, but it's in his head, and the transition there too is the fact that, oh, this my whole life is a lie, and now Moses has that major conflict within himself, saying, I have lived for, well, if you want to be really biblically accurate, I've been I've lived for 40 years, and all 40 years of my life is a lie. I mean,
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing to explore
You
too.
know what else is interesting when you think about that too? But if you watch the movie, Moses didn't age. It seemed like he did
Yeah,
not
it didn't
age.
age.
It seemed like he
Because
was just the same.
oh, another biblical inaccuracy. So when Moses goes to Egypt, I mean, flees Egypt, he's 40
40
years
years
old.
old,
When he meets God, he is
80 years old.
80 years old. So the young, spry, hasn't really aged Moses. And also he also had a kid. Gershom was already born around that time.
And then also, didn't his wife not go back with him?
Yeah, wife did not go back
She
with
did
him.
not
She
actually go back. She
she
just,
circumcises Gershom and she stays in
we just
Midian and
yeah.
turns around or something like that because someone tells her to come back. I didn't get a chance to look at that biblically.
Yeah, so like I said, there's always gonna be some inaccuracy. We're not gonna like I
Yeah,
said, if you ever watch the movie, having it don't always look at it as like, oh, I gotta see what's biblically inaccurate. Have a different perspective. Like
yeah,
that's what I like to do when I watch movies is just have a different perspective
yeah. I mean,
because not everything's gonna be accurate. It's hard to make everything accurate in the Bible, and the reason why it's so hard is because there's some things that happen in their life that we don't even know about that the Bible don't even talk about.
yeah, and plus, it's the Bible chose not to reveal it,
Yeah,
so you trust the fact that the Bible chose not to reveal it. But when you're trying to tell a story, especially with this one, you have to kind of fill the gaps to kind of help push the story along. Because if you take a look at most of the story, right, it really only happens in a couple of verses in the book of Exodus. But in order to kind of help you understand who the characters are, because that's the thing about storytelling, you need to um, help the audience understand who the characters are. How they achieved this in terms of that is really just showing things. That's
yeah,
the one of the my favorite things is when Moses flees Egypt and then he's out in the desert, and also you if you've seen the Ten Commandments, you're gonna echo it. It echoes a lot. Like just I said, parallels.
yeah.
There are a lot of parallels to Ten Commandments. When you watch Ten Commandments, you'll be like, oh, ah, like this whole scene where Moses is like struggling through the desert. Oh, this is one that I like. So when Moses exiles himself to um, to the wilderness, what's so cool is that the size of Moses keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Like the landscape becomes bigger. And so I think that helps illustrate the fact that he's trying to strip away that old life and then this brand new life. Or also, and if you want to even go to this part, the grandness of who God is. is helping him understand, but also helping us understand visually that he's becoming less and less the prince of Egypt and more God's servant. Then once we see him again, he starts to shed all of his old princely stuff. He takes off his the wig that he wears, but he keeps his ring. And this is what's awesome about it. It's like, but there's still a part of him that misses that life, and that's what makes him relatable. Because think about it, Matt. If you were a prince of Egypt, okay, you have been educated. You are in the prime education of the world. You have access to everything. You are you can go anywhere. You can do anything with, and then and you have this freedom to just do all of these things. You would there'd be a part of you that I think that would kind of miss that.
Yeah, there would be.
and and what I liked about that is that there's a part of him still that holds on to that ring, and we don't see that ring until when?
Until he goes back,
Until he goes back, and what does he do?
he gives it back.
He gives it. And now we were talking about Moses. Let's shift um, to Ramses. So when he gets the ring, what is Ramses now realizing?
He realized that this is not the Moses he knew.
Exactly. And Nostalgia Critic, who's probably he's another movie reviewer, and somebody that I kind of like. There's some I don't agree, but the most his review of Prince of Egypt is very good. But one thing that he mentioned, and this is uh, a credit to both the animators and to Ralph Fiennes, who Ralph Fiennes as Pharaoh was also exceptionally good, because again, that whole wide range, the same thing that Val Kilmer was able to show, this reckless guy but then super serious guy, this the voice of God that booms and the voice of God that calms. Ralph Fiennes was that, oh, I'm having fun, but I also want to destroy you. Oh, I want to do what Dad tells me to do because that's something that needs to be done, but I really like my brother.
The
And
tradition.
it's like I have to be of one of tradition, but oh, Moses can't. There. So when that scene with the ring, when he holds the ring, there the thing that Nostalgia Critic um, mentioned was that the whole span of emotions, regret, um, longing, but
Anger.
anger, but then wrath, because oh my goodness, this guy now this brother who I loved is not really the brother that I knew. That saddens me. But he's also now my enemy. That's the thing that's where the story is, because and that's where the richness of the story is. The conflicts that are going in within these two men who loved each other for 40 years. Let's just say 40 years to make love each other for 40 years, and now in the span of this amount of time, they have to change all of that.
Yeah, because when Moses came back, he was like excited about it. He goes, "You're back."
Yeah, awesome.
There's another thing I think that I feel like we are forgetting, and
Hmm.
that's the snake part.
Oh yes,
What's that? What are those two losers' name?
Hoot and Hoot and
Hood and
Hoy,
Hoy.
which I think are also, I don't know if they're mentioned in the Bible, but
Hood
the
Hood and
magicians of
Hood and Hoy were so annoying. But there was a part where this is where it was funny because
I have a lot to say about this scene too. Go
they
for it.
so Moses threw his staff, it became a snake,
Mhm.
and Ramses is like Hood and Hoy
Show him our
show
answer.
our
Show this
answer. Just
magician our
our answer.
answer.
So then they did their own snake. And what's so funny is I don't think people realize it is the snake that God made for Moses literally ate their snake. And like it's like they just like for me it's funny because like they're like you're playing with the big boys now. And it's just like, dude, your snake just got eaten by God. Like, how is that the big boys?
But Matthew, can I do my Pegasus voice? Matthew, why do you think that nobody noticed that?
Because they're blind.
Not just that.
Oh, because their pride, their ego.
No, because those magicians were distracting them from the truth.
Oh yeah,
So remember, they cared more. Like all the people were focused on the spectacle of Hoot and Hoy, and then they're kind of admitting it in their small little bits of actions, because they have this. First off, The lights are off. It becomes a stage show,
You're
and
playing with the big
big boys.
boys
It's like,
now.
oh, and so then they conjure up, and then you don't even know if those sticks turned into snakes. And then they go, but then they're realizing, oh, look, that snake's getting the advantage, and so let's distract everybody with all of our stuff. And then Moses is the snake that uh, Moses created, that God created, is eating these snakes, and only Zipporah notices it, but everybody else is so blinded, not by their pride, but blinded by the false teachings, which
But
is also another thing too. That now you have a conflict of two ideologies. You have um, true religion. You have monotheism and worshiping God, and you have this polytheistic uh, kind of religion, and they admit it because the first lyrics of it is all of these different gods, but then it's all a show. There's no
yeah,
substance to it, and then how they get things done, how this religion gets things done is through deception, trickery. Like when Moses turns the river Nile into blood,
that
they
part was crazy.
they turn they take a bowl, they throw some Kool-Aid in it, and it's like, look, it's blood, and then it's like, ah ha ha. It's like, but what you'll notice in that same scene, when Moses is standing in the on the riverside, it's blood everywhere except where Moses is standing.
Yeah,
So that's the interesting. I used to dismiss Hoot and Hoy so much until I watched it again yesterday. That it
it was so annoying.
it was like they didn't really have any major place except just the comic relief. Like they're supposed to be Timon and Pumbaa,
Yeah, basically.
but they're supposed to be Timon and Pumbaa, but with no particular value. But then when I watched that yesterday, I said, "Oh, I get it. They're just showmen." And plus, that's perfect that you have both Steve Martin and Martin Short playing these guys that are fabulous showmen, and that's the kind of character that they want to portray. But what's even deeper is that they're false
Yeah,
teachers trying to blind people from the actual truth, because nobody noticed that, oh, that snake beat their two snakes.
yeah,
So that was the essence of it. I didn't think of because I was like, okay, I'm gonna skip this song because it's not really that important. But then when I watched it again yesterday, I was like, that's it. It's it's a show. It's a lesson to false teachings and how people will deceive. And you have that nowadays.
yeah,
Even people don't use smoke and mirrors; they just use empty promises and give me your money so that God will bless you, kind of a
yeah.
thing.
Basically, there was one thing I remember you asking when we did the episode that you know, and that was the question: do you think that if it came out this year, like
Oh
this
yes,
year,
yes.
will it have a big impact?
Mm.
And my response, and it's still my response, is yes.
Yep, I think so too because the fact that we're still discussing it and that people are still discussing it is impactful. But here's my
I'll let you tell your thought
yeah,
about it, and then I'll give you my thought
yeah,
about it.
here's my concern with it is that when Prince of Egypt was done, it was created with such high production value. Like a lot of people invested a lot of money into it, and it also yielded a lot. It made a ton of money in the box office. I remember seeing it in theaters, and not only when I went to see it in the Palisades theaters, it wasn't like, oh look, there's a religious movie on. We're not. Why are we gonna go see that? No, everybody packed in to the IMAX in the Palisades and watched it. It was something that everybody went to go see. That's I guess how our culture is now. Because back in the day, you could make a biblical movie and make a ton of money off of it because people will go and see it. Nowadays, you make a biblical based movie and you'll get people protesting it. I mean, when we did Passion of the Christ, we discussed that how many people protested Mel Gibson making this thing. And when we watched it, we were like, it's with the exception of a few things, the main essence is there. And but here's the cool thing with Prince of Egypt, nobody opposed it. Well received by everybody. Everybody was like, let's go see it. Very profitable in the theaters. Won an Oscar. When You Believe was the Oscar Song of the Year. That's amazing that a biblically based movie with the biblical themes all infused in there. There's no agenda, there's no wokeness that was trying to be infused into this, like, I don't know, Exodus and Gods and Kings, which I don't want to watch it, but I kind of want to watch it for comparison. But uh you it, that the whole concept of, oh, that's good, the whole concept of spectacle, that's what it becomes now. That's what it's become now. It's like, let's wow everybody with the CG and the everything. Let's forget story. This did both. I mean, just, did you know this? The scene, the parting of the Red Sea, the CG to do that took 10 animators 2 years to do. That's dedication.
The camera looking at the whale like, what?
Yeah, that's dedication, man. And dedicated to into telling this story. Okay, but nowadays, I don't know if you would have people who will actually bankroll it, or if there's something has that same production value, you gotta like search for it, like it's in the deep recesses of places. It's not heard, or it's like a video that somebody made on YouTube that nobody really talks about. But this was upfront, up center, large cast, very popular, very profitable. But I don't know and if someone, if this was made today, if this is the same movie and it was released today, yeah, I think it would be. But what I'm saying is that, can a movie like this be made the same way, have the same success, and still have the same kind of impact, and it's got no agenda?
I
My
think
answer to that is no.
no. I think if it was made today, the animation would probably be a little bit. Animation was really well,
Yeah,
but the animation would probably
it's
be like
hand drawn too, like not
animation
all
would probably
CG.
be like a little bit a lot better. Maybe they might try to do it like how they did 3D, maybe like that, like
Hmm.
Mario, Super Mario. I still think it'll have a big impact. I still think it'll do well, and the reason why I say that is because what movies right now would you say captivates everybody? What is like the movies that have been like everybody's been wanting to buy and wanting to watch? It has been superhero movies.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
has been mostly Marvel, but now what's going on is even though Marvel's still making superhero movies, people aren't really watching how they used to.
Yeah,
Same
because,
thing with like action movies.
so are you saying then, like, like people's desires in terms of movies, in terms of what they're thinking, is starting to go back to that traditional? I
I
want good
I want
stories.
good story, but I also believe that this is me being honest. I also believe that people are looking for the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think if you make the Prince of Egypt come out here,
Yeah, it's still.
will there be people probably opposed to it? Probably. But I guarantee you, if the Prince of Egypt comes out, it'll do better than superhero movies. It'll probably did better than, I'll be honest with you, Barbie and Super Mario Bros.
Yeah,
Super Mario.
because,
And the reason why is because I think people are actually looking for the truth. I
right.
think people are actually looking for something new, looking for something like, and even though it's not biblically accurate, there's some biblical accuracy in there too. There's some little bit stuff in there,
No, I think that there's a lot of biblical
and
accuracy.
it
There's,
gives you truth. And
yeah,
also,
the themes and the the concepts of faith, the concept of believing in God, and God determining your destiny. That's very,
yeah,
very interwoven in there, and I think that that's something that that why I think there'd be a lot of brushback with it, because, oh, I can't really relate to this because,
but
God's like the prominent, but
I think, but here's another thing too. Like it also, people could relate to the movie. Think about it
yes,
like that,
right.
because you have two brothers, even though the Bible doesn't specifically say how they are, but they made it seem like two brothers that really were close,
Mhm.
and now they're rivals. Sometimes in family, let's be honest here,
There's
there's
rivalries. Oh
rivalry.
yeah,
Sometimes you have family issues that she wish she didn't have, but you do have.
yeah. Just humanity in general.
It could be
You have
jealousy,
yeah.
hatred, envy, whatever you
Hmm.
want to say. There's like
Right.
that sometimes in family. But
Mhm.
here's another thing too. I also believe. I believe that, like I said, I believe people are looking for a new thing. Because okay, let's be honest. I'm gonna be blunt and say, let's say it. Disney decided that they wanted to put a gay character in every movie that they made, right?
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people that's not happy with that. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people that oppose it, that doesn't want
Mhm.
that to happen, and they got a lot of feedback for it. And because of that, Disney is losing a lot of money because of that stuff. People They lost their streaming devices. You know, people stopped streaming and what's it called? Unsubscribe to
To
Disney
Disney
Plus.
Plus, right?
So I believe that people are looking for the truth,
Hmm.
and people, if this movie came out, it will hit well. Like people will actually buy it. People will actually watch it. Like I said, will there be people that don't that will be against it? Yeah, there's always gonna be people against any type of movie, even if the movie was, even if the movie is really good and has a
Hmm.
good story to it.
People are still gonna
People are
say
going to
something about
say
it, right?
something about it. That's fine. But I really do believe that this movie, if it came out this time of the year, like I say in 2023,
Right now,
I think it will do really well. It might do well than when it came out in 1998.
like a re-release. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd love to be able to see if they remastered Prince of Egypt and re-released it into theaters. I'd be curious to see how that would do.
I like I said, I really do believe it will do great
That would be an interesting trip to do.
every like if you look at it now, every movie that's coming out, like I'm talking about superhero movies and action movies, they're not doing too hot.
Yeah, you know
They're,
why?
they're not making. They're
Here,
spending so much money on these movies, and they're not even making the money that they spend on the movies.
yeah, here's the other reason too is that it, it you hit the nail on the head. Is that I think nowadays, and I don't know why we ever strayed from this in the first place. It's you can still have your superhero movies, but the reason why those superhero movies made a lot of money is because of the human element.
Yeah,
The fact that you were able to tell this dramatic thing, I could relate to the struggles that Iron Man has. I could relate to the struggles that
Captain
Captain America
America.
had, what Black Widow was going through, what Hawkeye was going through. I can't relate to some of the things that Captain Marvel was going through. I can't relate to some of the things that um, She-Hulk. I can relate to some of the things that Kamala Khan is going through. Um,
Loki. You could
and I
actually actually you can
and you
relate to
can really
Loki
relate to, but that's
and Thor too.
and which is the most popular of the Marvel series right now? It's Loki
Loki.
because you went back to the concept of making it more human stories. It's not.
Just don't spoil it for me because I haven't seen the
Oh
second
goodness,
season.
yeah, it's good. You got to watch it.
But
But
like yeah, so like
yeah,
that's literally what it is too. And it's just like think of it like this too. Like you know why a lot of people like Spider Man or Batman? Like I'm talking about just in general. Like for like now we're just really quick for like comic or
oh
it's because you could
yes,
relate to them.
right,
Like even though Spider Man has superpowers, he deals with a lot of issues with liking someone or with family issues. Same thing with Batman. He deals with a lot of issues. Yeah, he has money and stuff, but he still deals with a lot of issues. He's a
right,
human being.
yeah,
So like what I'm saying is like this movie has so much human elements where you can relate to it.
right. There's
Like I said, it's
conflicts.
a lot of conflicts because even not even not even Moses, but like even like Miriam and
Yeah,
Aaron, you can relate to them too. Like you can relate to some of these
the
people,
oppression that
the
they've felt.
oppression,
Yeah,
you know.
like we all can understand like what it's like to be like pushed down by certain things.
Yeah,
Um, with even with Ramses, we can all with him.
you could relate
You
because
can relate.
we were prideful.
No, no, no.
Not like that, we had sometimes
But we
we
all
are very stubborn.
but we also have those moments where there's a lot of pressure that's imposed upon
Yeah,
us, and like having to meet the expectations or having to meet unrealistic expectations. That's something that you can relate to,
yeah,
and every single character in this wonderful piece is somebody that you can relate to,
yeah.
and that's what makes it. That's the one element of it that also is what makes it good is relatable characters.
And it,
Nowadays, it's not. I don't want an agenda.
yeah,
Okay, I don't want an agenda when I go to the movies. I want to go and like some in certain ways when I look at some of these characters, see myself. You
yeah.
know,
And that's why I said that's why I really do think the Prince of Egypt will do really well because it's not gonna be agenda. It's more like you might say, "Oh well, it's a religious point of view," but yeah, but at the same time, it's like
but it's what's needed.
you
Yeah.
could relate to it. You know, you could relate to some things. Like I said, there's always gonna be family issues.
Hmm.
You know, when you're kids and when you're babies and kids, you might not at first have family issues, but
Hmm.
once you grow up and become adult, you might have family
Yeah.
issues.
You'll.
Not even family issues, just issues in general. Like even like let's say if you have a close friend, like a best friend, you might not be best friends no more. You can like I said, this movie you can relate to. That's why I think it'll hit very well in the box office. I
Mhm.
think if it came out in 2023, it'll be good.
It'd be good. Yeah. I hope that like a lot of these production companies try to invest in these old stories once again and make them good. You know, don't have an agenda. I just and just tell stories. I think if you tell stories, if money's your concern, Don't have an agenda.
Yeah.
Tell the stories. Tell the human element. I'll leave with this, and then we'll start wrapping things up. When I went to, and I've mentioned this many times, but I think it's worth mentioning again. Um, Mobile Suit Gundam. Mobile Suit Gundam. Yes, I know all of you. Oh my gosh, Fred, your nerd is showing. Mobile Suit Gundam is basically the Star Wars of Japan, and a big fan of it when I was in college. Char's Counterattack got re-released somewhere in the city. It was being shown, and so my friend Omar and I we went. What we did not know, the creator of Gundam, that's Yoshiyuki Tomino, was at this premiere, and we didn't know this. And what we also did not know was with the purchase of every single ticket, you got to ask him a question. So Omar and I were there. We just finished watching Char's Counterattack, and we're looking at Yoshiyuki Tomino. This is like looking at Peter Jackson. This is like looking at um, the the guys who did the Marvel movies. The,
The Russo
the
brothers.
This is like the Russo brothers there. This is like Spielberg there. And so Omar and I were looking at each other, and I said, "You got to ask her a question. Ask him a question." It's like, "No, you ask him a question. You're a bigger anime fan. You ask him a question." So I did it. So I asked him one thing. I said, uh, "Tomino-san, what is the most important piece of advice that you can give to aspiring writers of science fiction and fantasy?" He he gives a very long answer, but it's in Japanese, and the interpreter uh, simplified it. It's like the one thing that you need to add to all of your stories is drama, the human element,
Yeah.
because if you have nothing, if you have like he takes when I think they were describing Gundam, he's like when you take a look at Gundam, it's just robots doing things in space. But what makes it a good story is the human element.
Yeah.
And I think, and
That's 100% true and accurate. It's
yeah,
like the same thing with like not only movies and video
oh,
games
video games, right?
and music. Sometimes with music, not
Yeah,
all the time, but sometimes with music. So like,
when someone bears their soul in a song, like I don't know if I should admit this, but um, she doesn't have a lot of good songs, but the one song, well, she probably does, and I know that's a matter of opinion. But when I heard Olivia Rodrigo's driver's license for the very first time, it got me like there. And what's funny was it was on Just Dance. It was on Just Dance. I was like, "Oh, who's this Olivia Rodrigo stuff?" It's like I've never seen driver's. It's like I had to stop dancing. I was like, "This is a beautiful song," because you could feel the
human
human
element.
element.
And there's one person I know we shouldn't mention, but there's one person that actually does do that. Used to do that a lot. He does it sometimes. Eminem.
I mean, no,
He
I think he
he
still does that
he
all the
does it a
time.
lot.
I think
Eminem is another
because
person that he
he
talks
just
about his life and has
yeah
the human elements where you're like, okay, I could respect this guy, I could listen to this guy,
yeah
and then I know, look, I'm just saying, like, we're just giving you a good examples of these type of things about human elements in music, and not only
yeah
in music and video games. I could tell you, well, I'm trying to think. I could give you a good example. Spider-Man,
hmm
the Spider-Man game, the first one, it has some human elements.
yeah second one too. Yeah,
I haven't played the second one.
yeah.
Batman Arkham Knight or the Batman Arkham series had a little bit of human elements.
Yeah.
Not
But
fully.
but what's interesting, because the human elements in the Arkham section were also some of the most memorable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So like, it did have some human elements. So there's some games that do have human elements.
And we have to mention, of course, because we mention it all the time, but Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption 2
Yeah,
and the first one.
like you played when you played Red Dead Redemption, you played it because you felt all of the pains and all of the struggles of that Arthur felt.
Yeah,
You know, and so that's what trying to bring it back to, and that's why I think you're right that the Prince of Egypt, and you know what, because it has that humanistic story, now it's also going to be able to be easier for people to also understand the biblical concepts.
yeah.
I like what one of my Bible professors taught me in Bible college. He said that what's awesome about the gospel, the gospel is the gospel, but how you present it, how you show it, how you package it, I think it's the thing that makes the difference. And so, and you don't compromise. Obviously, you don't twist it around completely so it's complete heresy. But how it's packaged, I think, is also very important. How my dad always tells me this. Whenever you talk, when you're saying it's how you say something. It's could you have said this better? And that's so true. That when and that's and you know what? Going back, that is part of the human element.
You know
Bec-
what's crazy too? If you want to be honest, the Bible has a lot of human elements.
no, the Bible is the human is the
It's a
human
human element.
element.
Like literally,
Yeah,
you could
it's
read about Moses and David. You realize, oh wow, they deal with a lot of things
right,
too, and God puts it in there because I think God knows that we're humans and
right,
we deal with a lot of things,
exactly.
and that's something we need to hear.
Right. And that's why I love studying. Like when you read, I was talking about how in movies, right?
Yeah,
Uh, when I'm watching a movie, I was like, I want to almost be like I'm watching something about myself.
yeah,
That's what's awesome with the Bible and stories just like this. When I see, like when I look at the life of Peter, it's like that's me, man. When I look at the life of when Elijah is completely depressed and wants to just, well, let's be biblical here, and Elijah just wants to kill himself, and he's in that particular state, and
that's
that's something that people can relate to. How many people, if and that's the glory of the gospel too, of the Bible too. But how many people, if they can just realize that the stories in the Bible are very relatable. How many people who were probably going to kill themselves, if they just read how God turns things around for Elijah, how that could also be something that could turn around in their lives.
yeah.
So the the human element is very, very prevalent in the Bible, and especially in stories about the Bible as the Prince of Egypt. So if you have not seen it, if you have Amazon Prime, I was gonna purchase it when we first reviewed it, but it is actually out on Amazon Prime right
For
now
free
for
too,
free.
so you don't have to buy
You
it.
don't have to buy it, but once it stops being free, I think I've watched it so much that I will um, actually purchase it once it comes out. All right, let's have some final thoughts. Matt, do you have any final thoughts?
My final thoughts. I guess I could say this about the Prince of Egypt is, like I said, we're always gonna critique things. We're a podcast where we do movies and entertainment. So but one thing I'll say is that if you are, even if you're a Christian and if you are gonna watch the Prince of Egypt, have a have a different perspective on it. Don't have that mindset where like, oh, what is biblically inaccurate? What can I criticize about this movie and not? I mean, tell people not to watch it because at the end of the day, it's like you gotta look at it at different perspectives. It's not only about like it's not always gonna be not everything that comes out is gonna be biblically accurate, but at least you can know that like they really did try, and that I think, like I said, the conflicts and trying to show you like what it is with like family issues or brothers, becoming rival. That is really what happens in real
Mhm.
life.
Okay.
So if you're gonna ever watch a movie and if like the Prince of Egypt, just have it in a different perspective.
Right. Yeah, and plus also see its value. And one thing I will say, we always like to tell the uh, like parents and such. This is one you can probably watch with your kids easily. Kiddos, go for it, watch it. It'd be great to watch it with mom and dad, but if you watch it on your own, pretty safe. Few kind of like moments, but all in part safe, guaranteed safe, and I think you'll also get a lot of less to it. But if you do watch it, for everybody, just also give the Book of Exodus a refresh, and I think that's one thing that'll be good to with this particular movie. So that is it for this week. Once again, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving if you are watching this on Thanksgiving. But we are looking forward to giving more content for you this upcoming season. So keep an eye out for that. Subscribe and like if you can. Share it with your friends, and it's going to be an awesome thing. So as we say every week, we don't know you, but we love you, and there's a God above that does. I'm PB.
And I'm Cashew.
Peace
Peace
out,
out,
PB
PB Cashewville,
Cashewville.
and have a great happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.